Data is the new oil, and online space is the latest battlefield. At a time when Elon Musk is pushing the Grok feature on his social media platform X, and there are concerns about Xi Jinping's DeepSeek extracting our private data, India and France are co-chairing the Artificial Intelligence Action Summit in Paris. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in France, where he will be leading the third edition of this AI summit, the first two having been held in UK in 2023 and South Korea in 2024. In attendance would be US Vice President J.D. Vance, his first official trip abroad since taking office, accompanied by OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, Microsoft President Brad Smith, and Google CEO Sundar Pichai. Chinese Vice Premier Zhang Guoqing will be present, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Canada's outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, along with CEOs from across the world. All of them will be there in Paris. Now, the Paris summit has three objectives: provide access to independent and safe AI, ensure global governance of artificial intelligence, and develop AI that is more environmentally friendly. Here's why this year's Paris AI Summit is extremely crucial. One, with India's presence there, the concerns of the global south will be prioritized. And two, China's Nvidia has shaken the AI tech industry, which was so far dominated by Silicon Valley giants like OpenAI, Meta, Microsoft, and Google. And therefore, the focus is also on the democratization of the tech sector. India, remember, has so far maintained that artificial intelligence should not be weaponized and that it should be reliable. There's also a desperate need to regulate AI, but tech companies say this would mean stifling innovation. So the question is, can the world agree on AI regulation and counter the Trump and China AI storm? To talk more about this, I am joined by Rahul Bajaj, CEO Digital Darwin. Dr. Michael Owens, President, US Global Center for Cyber Policy, will be joining us. I'm also joined by Mr. François Gauthier, Senior French journalist. Good evening and namaskar to both of you. Rahul Bajaj, to you first. You know, it's an extremely crucial summit considering the fact that India is co-chairing this with France. Obviously reflects the kind of importance that the world is now giving to India as far as AI and the tech sector is concerned. But for us, for the global south, for this part of the world, what would you say are the concerns as far as artificial intelligence and the emerging tech trends are concerned?
Thank you so much for having me on the show. And this is something which is very important on how the technology is developing, and especially for the global south, for the developing world, where the IT rules, the personal data protection rules are still very, very weak. They are still in the formative structure as compared to the US or the Europe. In fact, the Europe taking the lead in all of these laws. So how the AI can work for public good, for the different uses that it can be incorporated. Remember, the technology is something which has allowed countries like India to leapfrog in various different things, be it the telecom revolution or the digitization of the money transactions, right? India has the highest number of digital transactions. So AI has that particular power which can help the global south and countries who are looking at quadruple growth in their economies, like what India is trying to do. The AI can actually help them leapfrog. The concerns, however, remain as to how the data could be protected, the personal data could be protected, and what could be the use cases that India can put AI for public good. And then it's very encouraging to see that how these three summits, starting from UK, where the focus completely was on doomsday as to what will happen when the AI would come in, moving towards Seoul, where in the Seoul summit, it was more on inclusion and how things can happen, to the themes that are being taken up in Paris, which includes not only the AI for public service, but how the innovation and culture around AI can be done, and what will be the future of work with AI.
Yeah. Yeah, and Rahul Bajaj, what's also interesting, and I'd like to take this across to Francois Gauthier, these three conferences, three summits that were held across the world, whether it's UK, Paris, or South Korea, these are three different parts of the world which perhaps have very different AI regulations in place. The kind of usage that AI has in these countries, in these parts of the world, is very different. And therefore, let's talk about Europe and the kind of regulations that it has been trying to put in place as far as artificial intelligence is concerned. President Macron has given out a statement that amid the threat of the Chinese DeepSeek, France is not considering and is not worried about the origin of the country from where this app is concerned. Shouldn't the world be concerned where the app is originating from, whether it's DeepSeek or any other place? Because that has a lot to do with where our privacy of data will be
I can't
going,
hear
where this
you.
entire data, which is considered the new oil, will be going. Are you able to hear me, Mr.
Hello?
Gauthier?
I can't hear anything.
Okay, let's try and fix that.
Okay.
Let's try and fix that audio for Mr. Francois Gauthier.
Got it. I
Yes,
got
can
it.
you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so my question, Mr. Gauthier, was the fact that EU has been trying to converge and come onto one common regulation for artificial intelligence and tech. And President Macron, ahead of the summit, has said that France is not concerned or worried about the origin of where a certain app is coming from, amid the kind of threats that are perceived coming in from China's DeepSeek. But my question is, shouldn't every country be concerned from where this app is coming out of, whether it's DeepSeek or any other app that comes out, because a lot of that depends on where our data will be going?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. Of course, as a I'm a Frenchman, and I'm proud that Mr. Macron is hosting that summit along with Prime Minister Modi. But at the same time, I feel a bit sad because the best software engineers in the world have been in the last 40 years Indian, before anybody, before the Chinese, long before the Chinese, even better than the Americans. I believe Silicon Valley used a lot of Indians in their software companies. But there is no artificial intelligence program coming from India. Now we see that the DeepSeek, the Chinese DeepSeek, is the most powerful in the world, the cheapest, and we know that the Chinese use their software for spying upon nations and people. So I'm a little sad, and I think the effort of Mr. Macron and Mr. Modi is very laudable. That not only try to contain the Chinese threat, but also, the American giant. America dominates everything, and France has always seen itself as someone who wants to unite Europe and unite the other nations, non-aligned nations, to counter that American hegemony. I don't know how much they will succeed, though, because France, like India, doesn't have really a big artificial intelligence program, though I believe Mr. Macron wants to finance different companies for that. And India doesn't have either. So I don't know really what France and India can do to counter both the American and the Chinese giant artificial intelligence companies.
Okay. Before I get in, Dr. Michael, into this conversation, let's also put out those videos that President Emmanuel Macron himself has shared. And this is, of course, ahead of the AI summit. He has shared his own deepfake videos on his Instagram handle. And, just look at those videos. Those clearly, might be entertaining, might get in some laughs, but it's also a hugely concerning threat that all of us have to grapple with of deep fakes. And we've seen in the past they have been a nuisance and they clearly pose a very, very dangerous threat. Dr. Michael Owens, you want to come in on this? The entire risk of deep fakes is a reality that now all of us are living in. And that is something that this AI summit should be looking at very, very closely.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me. You are correct that this, AI Action Summit is really about two things. And I think the first one, from my perspective, is what you were just talking about, and is that urgent need that we have to establish, ethical standards and global norms around AI. We all understand just how much of a threat that deepfakes are, and just, we're literally in a day and age now where you really can't believe what you see or hear anymore online. So I think this is one big push towards the cybersecurity threats that AI poses. And I think it's very important that through this AI Action Summit, that those things are also talked about, because we also know the second part is a broader push for global inclusion in AI development. And, that's going to be an important thing as well. But from a cybersecurity perspective, having the global leaders on the world stage to talk about AI has to address the critical component of cybersecurity.
Rahul Bajaj, you want to come in on this, deep fakes and the kind of
Actually,
other threats also that have come in with artificial intelligence? As somebody who works in this sector, do you want to talk more about what countries can do further? I mean, is it even possible that different countries come together and have a common regulation on deep fakes?
Artificial intelligence is no doubt dangerous, but it's here to stay. We can't stop it. It's going to take over more and more jobs, more and more place in our lives, at every level, human, international, national. So we have to accept that this is, inevitable, and it will keep on growing. What France and India definitely can do is, ally, come together to try to make some rules. But I doubt, with the Chinese and the American dominating the markets again, I'm a little doubtful that neither France nor India can do anything about it. This visit seems to me more of a commercial visit, with Macron sending Rafales to Mr. Modi, and submarines, and then going to south of France, to Marseille, because India is the biggest Airbus buyer nowadays, more than any country. Indigo and Air India have bought hundreds of Airbuses. So
sure, they've got their bilaterals lined up during this visit of the Prime Minister of India, and we will surely, of course, see some sort of agreements coming in.
I'm sorry, but all the rest is words, just words.
But
I'm sorry.
Okay. Rahul Bajaj, you want to come in on this? Do you see anything concrete, Rahul, coming out of this AI summit? As somebody who's in the midst of the artificial intelligence sector, do you think countries can have a possible workable common regulation of artificial intelligence?
Shreya, definitely they can. So Europe has already tried, and then some of these regulations have already come into force starting February, and more of these are coming into force starting August. Now, the balancing act is between regulations and opening up things to allow innovation, and this is where when Trump came in and removed most of the regulations that the Biden administration was ready to put in, this is where the balancing act also has to be found. That what is enough, and what and where the regulations support certain types of uses of AI, plus also where a person's own data or their own information needs to be protected. Even if we look at how OpenAI and DeepSeek have been trained, so there has been a lot of conversation on how DeepSeek has been able to train the model at much lower cost because DeepSeek used OpenAI's intelligence to actually do a reinforcement learning on their own model. But when we look at OpenAI is also facing so many suits, including ones in India, where it is consuming so much of data from media and media organizations like Mirror Now and Times Network, where the information is being collected and being fed into those particular models for training those particular models. So where is at what level do we protect this particular information? Where does the copyright come in for training these particular models, and what information about individuals can be protected? These particular basic rules definitely need to be put across by the nations, and they have to agree on these. And if that is not done, then the AI can move into any direction.
But on that point, Rahul Bajaj, companies say that the tighter the regulations, the more you're stifling innovation.
Very true. Very true. So that is something which the European laws have come into criticism for, that the laws are too tight, and that does stifle the innovation. And that is the tightrope that we'll have to walk on, where the innovation needs to be allowed, the but personal details, personal information about people where their lives can get endangered,
Hmm.
that needs to be the red line where the AI models cannot, those particular red lines, the AI models cannot cross.
Okay. Dr. Michael Owens, one of the things that this AI summit also aims to do is tech sovereignty, the democratization of tech. So far, we've only seen the Silicon Valley dominating the AI sector, whether it's OpenAI, Microsoft, Google, these big tech giants who have been dominating the space. Then you had a DeepSeek from China come in and shake up the entire industry and give nightmares to a lot of these tech entrepreneurs. Uh, do you see that happening with a Donald Trump at the helm of affairs, with an Elon Musk along with him, and them pushing for their AI ambitions? Do you see some sort of democratization happening, or do you think that it's still going to stay in the Silicon Valley?
And that's a good question. I think the main reason that you see India and France, kind of co-hosting this summit is to push the global lens on adoption, development, and deployment of global AI tools. Yes, even with Trump coming on board, we know that this is largely seen as a U.S. versus Canada race for dominance. So yeah, I do think that opening this up to the world market to a certain extent is what we're seeing here. And yes, without a doubt, DeepSeek has shown us that this potentially could be very possible to usher in a new age of AI that is a lot less cost intensive and possibilities for other countries to be able to do it. I'm going to be very curious to see though where the U.S. goes, particularly when I say the U.S. administration of Trump and Vance goes with this. This is going to be Vice President J.D. Vance's first international excursion, if you will. But I've heard a lot of discussions about him wanting to talk about other things, quite frankly, wanting to meet other heads of state to have discussions on things that are not AI related. So that's a bit concerning to me because I do think it's vitally important for the U.S. to stay in critically as a leader in this space, but also that we're seen as someone who is working towards these international norms and policies and ethical guidelines that we all need to see and adopt.
Francois Gauthier, come in on this and help us understand your viewpoint. Do you relate to the fact that probably Trump and Elon Musk at the helm of affairs might impact in a positive way as far as the pushing and growth of the AI sector is concerned?
I think
No
both
doubt.
Mr.
I mean,
Trump and Mr. Elon Musk are, American centric. They will only work for the good and the benefit of America, and they will squeeze, like we saw that Mr. Trump squeezed the Japanese Prime Minister. Mr. Trump will also squeeze Mr. Modi for concession. So as far as it's great, what Mr. Modi and Mr. Macron are doing, but they're side players. They're not major players. China and America are leading now the AI market, and France and India can only be side players. And I doubt that whatever rules are made, good rules are made, China will not abide by them because the Chinese always do what they want. And Trump also is an unpredictable chap, and he's not going to abide by these rules. So yes, it's good to have the summit, but I don't think it's going to have a great impact upon both the Chinese and the American, who are the two major players. So, sorry, I'm a bit cynical about that, though I'm proud of Mr. Macron, and I think Mr. Modi is an extraordinary person, but I don't think much is going to come out of it and have any impact upon the Chinese and the Americans.
Rahul Bajaj, are you as pessimistic as Francois Gauthier is from the rest of the world? Do you have any expectations from the rest of the world? Or are you putting your bets on US and China as well? Rahul, this is for you. Can you hear me?
Shreya, who is this question for? What is this question for?
This is for you, Rahul. This is for you, Rahul. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, sorry. So no, Shreya. Of course, China has taken some good foundational steps, and let's remember that the Chinese AI policy had been there for last at least 10 to 15 years. It has not come in just now. Most of the world could be waking up now. India has been in some doldrums earlier on what kind of AI policy it should be having. We started seeing some action in the last couple of years. It just happened again. The force came in after all that particular noise about DeepSeek. But the policy for at least for China has been there because they wanted to be leaders in AI. For India, I would say that because the American or the Chinese organizations are much ahead in creating those foundational models, India could rather benefit in how the models can be used for public good, how the usage can bring the technology in a lot of people's lives, solving certain basic problems and helping us actually leapfrog the infrastructure divide that we have between us and the Western world, right? So that is something where India can focus. I would want to point out that probably there could be areas where France and India could collaborate in this area. France has a wonderful model in Mistral, right? It's one of the leading models that has come out of France. It's an open source model, just like DeepSeek. There's huge amount of engineering base in India. Bringing these two together, that can definitely have a very good effect. And something good can come out of the collaboration if the two countries decide that they have to work together and create something good out of it.
Okay. My last question to you, Dr. Michael Owens. There are concerns of AI taking over jobs, and you've got Meta now starting off with their layoffs, saying that we will hire more people who are machine learning engineers. So that clearly reflects the kind of priority shift that companies and tech giants are having across the world. How concerned are you? How concerned should the world be with AI taking over jobs?
That's a question I hear a lot, but one, quite honestly, I'm not very concerned with, because when we look at technology from a historical context, every time we've seen a leap forward in technology, we've seen literally new jobs be created. And I don't see it being any different in this case. Yes, will there be some jobs disrupted through automation because of AI? Absolutely. But we're also going to be creating global high-skilled roles in AI development, in cybersecurity, in all types of digital services that will go through every industry and every market. So, I'd look at this as a race to the front, because we know that, nations that prioritize on AI development will reap some rewards of this. This is a $1 trillion industry from an AI perspective we're talking about. So, we will continue to see new jobs to get created. Any scrolling you do through a jobs website, you will see all of these roles now requiring some sort of IT, some sort of AI understanding or competency. We're going to see more and more of that. So there's going to be new jobs created in this space. You can also look at the drivers of AI. So you're talking about digital technology that underlies some of that. The more need for more bandwidth. So there's going to be, more bandwidth that's going to be needed across the world as a whole. So all these things are positive things. Yes, there will be some temporary or intermediary type of job shifts. So I'll say, I won't even say job deletions, because there will definitely be new jobs created through this whole AI revolution.
Okay. All right. We'll leave it there. On Global Mirror, gentlemen, we have been asking whether AI is equal to artificial intelligence being inescapable, and that clearly is the answer. It is inescapable. It's not going anywhere, but all of us need to be more responsible in its usage. We'll have to leave it there. I have paucity of time. Francois Gauthier, Rahul Bajaj, as well as Dr. Michael Owens. Thank you very much to all. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it's a wrap on this broadcast. News and updates will continue. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Bye-bye. Up next is Neha Koshi with Beyond the Headline.